Para muchos, Ducati es la marca deportiva por excelencia, a lo que aspira uno si te gustan este tipo de motos. Y además, muy pocas marcas representan la combinación de rendimiento en competición, en pista, y diseño extravagante como lo hacen los italianos. Y quizás eso sea lo que hace tan interesante la siguiente decisión. Ducati entra en el mundo de las motos deportivas, pero de campo, de motocross. ¿Por qué se meten en ese mundo tan extraño para ellos, lleno ya de marcas consolidadas? Nosotros teníamos muchas preguntas y además también tenemos la suerte porque tuvimos la oportunidad única de hablar con los responsables del proyecto Offroad en la sede de Ducati en Borgo Panigale.
I'm Davide Perni, 49 years old, engineer from Bologna. In Ducati, I have the responsibility regarding the whole off-road project in terms of R&D and racing, in terms of technical development. The first idea was around 2012-2013. At that time, Ducati was bought by Volkswagen Group. We start a very good collaboration with them. We improve a lot also our approach on the product. This allow the company to grow up in terms of profitability, in terms of turnover, in terms of production, and we are thinking that okay, now the company is in a good situation. We would like to continue to grow up. So what we can do? Beginning spring of 2021, we got the approval from Volkswagen top management to go ahead with this project.
It's a project of a range of off-road bikes, 450 and 250. But we decided to start with the 450 motocross because it's a little bit in Ducati's tradition to start with the high-end model as we do with Panigale V4 and then eventually come up with with Panigale's the V2 and with Ducati will be the 250. Then obviously we will have also enduro version and a supermoto version coming at a later stage.
I was in the meantime a bit surprised because after many years finally they tell us, okay, go. And in the same time I was very, very happy because I am off-road enthusiast and is my passion and was like a dream when it's come true. So it was very big emotional for me and for all of the group because in Ducati we came from the asphalt, but many people that work here are passionate of off-road. They have a motocross bike, enduro bike. We go in the weekend to have some riding all together. So it's many passionate people and with experience on this field.
We were very excited to enter in this new field because we feel that this segment has some communality with our spirit. We are a company that is very competition oriented and of course off-road, cross, enduro is a field that we feel similar to our spirit. But of course we are also worried and aware that we need some competence, some specific competence and to increase the knowledge on this field.
Basically the off-road was something in the beginning was, we think it was too far to our product, but also to our comfort zone, let me say, because we know very well the super bike and super sport segment, the naked with a monster and other segment like the dual of Multistrada, so the hypermotard. This is, let me say, our, we can define comfort zone because we have many years of experience in the product. We develop a very good product, so for that we are quite confident to make a very good bike. The off-road is quite a new, quite different, a lot different product, but the core is the same. So very close to the racing, and also the performance of the bike should be at the top level, because every race you need to fight with your competitor. So it's very close to our philosophy.
Así que dicen ellos que es la pasión y obviamente la oportunidad económica la que empuja a Ducati a meterse en tierra. Pero ¿por qué empezar entonces por el motocross?
MXGP in the world and Supercross, motocross in the United States are the biggest in terms of audience, and the riders there, they are obviously quite well known. And I'm sorry to say, unfortunately, the enduro guys are very strong, but they are not as popular to be a kind of brand ambassador for a new brand like Ducati coming into this in this field.
Ducati, you know, is a company where the racing is very important of its history. In the recent history of Ducati, we started to make race with Superbike since the 1988, more or less. Most recently, if it's already more than 20 years, also in MotoGP. We believe that the best way to develop a racing bike is to make the development in the race.
Motocross bikes are racing bikes. They are not homologated for street use, so the clients and the fans that are using this bike, they use them on motocross tracks. So racing is really linked to the product. It's not a product you buy if you're not racing or at least enjoying an activity on a motocross track. We decided that racing was the key to promote this new model, and this is why last year we decided to participate in the Italian Motocross Championship with the bike which is here, and it was a full prototype at that time, but basically it was a prototype with the same configuration of a production bike. So it was also decided, thanks to the guidance of our CEO, Claudio Domenicali, who said, you know, let's go racing. We're gonna see, maybe we have some issues or problems, but for sure the pressure you put on the team on racing is extreme, so we will possibly develop an even better product. Unexpectedly, I would say, we won the championship because at the beginning we didn't know exactly where we would stay, and we also took part into wildcards in MXGP just to see a little bit where we would stand in terms of competitiveness at the world level.
Tony Cairoli, quizás la mayor estrella del motocross italiano, 9 veces campeón del mundo de motocross, se une al equipo en un papel clave en el desarrollo de las motos off-road de Ducati.
It was no surprise for me because I'm the guy who started talking to Antonio. Not because I want to take the credit, but because it is a fact. To the surprise of many, many people, actually he decided to join the project. But knowing Tony, for him, a new challenge, working for an Italian brand, being able to help Ducati to succeed was a big motivation for him. He still likes to ride a lot. I think it was just the right time for him and for us to join forces, and for sure is the best brand ambassador we could have hoped for.
And this was the key, because since the beginning we understood that in order to develop a racing bike, we need to make this development and get this experience directly on the racetrack. It was the first time for us to develop a bike under the eyes of all the people, but was good.
Pero ¿cómo se desarrolla una moto completamente nueva en un terreno donde no tienes prácticamente ni idea?
There was quite a long period in which we had to study a lot. We bought several competitors' bikes, the best of the market at those times, and there was a huge activity of reverse engineering, so just to understand which was the technical level of the different components. And we understood that the technical level was really high. And then we decided to go our own way, trying to choose what was our best application in this world with the technologies and the material that we already knew.
People need to recognize that is a Ducati, not is a copy of some other brand. This is in the beginning was a very big challenge, because today our competitor are at the status of the art. So If you go in every dealer and close your eyes, take one bike, off-road bike, is very, very good bike. It's a very competitive bike, so it's not easy to make something better.
We understood that it is very important to reach a maximum peak of power, but it is crucial to have a very linear, progressive torque delivery.
If we speak about MXGP or Supercross in US, okay, they are, let me say, like an alien that is coming from the moon. But for a normal rider, or also rider that use the bike in national championship, the limit today is not the bike, is the rider.
This was for us very interesting to understand, and we worked a lot on this in order to get this linear and progressive curve. Another topic was for us interesting to understand that probably could be an advantage to increase the range of engine speed where the engine could be usable. And this for us, for example, the Desmo could be a key advantages because using the Desmo you could push a little bit higher the speed limiter, for example.
The point was not Desmo yes or Desmo no, the point was which is the target of power. I have experience in off-road like passionate guys, and I remember that 15 years ago, more or less, top-level rider want more power. So probably we achieved also 66, 68 horsepower, but finally people are not able to ride because the limit again is the rider and the track condition during the race, is not the power. We can take out more power from 450 than the 63 horsepower that we have today, but probably is not an advantage for the rider.
Y ahora una breve explicación para todos los que todavía no han tenido el placer de conocer la tecnología de motores de Ducati. La desmodrómica es el sistema de distribución exclusivo de Ducati, que funciona sin muelles. Es un sistema de válvulas donde las válvulas no solo se abren, sino que también se cierran activamente mediante un mecanismo mecánico y no muelles.
If you compare a Desmo system to a traditional spring system, you see immediately that there are some additional components. First, you see that there is a second cam lobe and there is an additional rocker arm that provides the closing forces to the valve instead to the closing forces provided by the spring, but with some advantages because the Desmo, the mechanism is very precise. It is free from any valve float or resonance issue and could provide higher closing forces. It means that it is possible to impress to the valve an higher acceleration. And at the end, you could have, for example, like in this project, an higher valve lift without increasing the valve duration. This was for us the main advantages for this project because we will have a strong torque curve at mid-range, and this is achieved by a short duration of the cam profile, but together we want also to keep a power boost at very high RPM. Increasing the valve lift, you could cover both the tasks. Then, as you see, there is not a problem, for example, to set the valve limit, the engine speed limiter very high, because there is not a problem about resonances. The friction of the Desmo is lower compared to a valve train, so you get a little bit more torque available at mid-range. These are more or less the main feature that we gain using the Desmo.
Meantime, we work in order to reduce the negative point of the Desmo system, that is the increasing of the weight, because the system is a little bit more heavier than the normal traditional system with the spring. But finally today we have the twin camshaft engine that is the lightest in the category.
The Desmo is a little bit more complex to design. It is a little bit more complicated and complex to produce, because you need to be very precise. You have two mechanisms that has to move exactly at the same time with the same movement. It is a little bit more complex. A maintenance point of view, there are two gaps to be registered, and not only one as a spring valve train. This is the only complex feature for the maintenance.
This is not a super bike that you go one time per month or every 2-3 months in the racetrack. You go every weekend. The hour that you put on the chassis, on the engine, people go, enjoy, and need to have a solid technical base on the bike. For that reason, our maintenance schedule is very good in my point of view, and we are working also to give to the client a very precise indication when is necessary to make the maintenance.
The structure more or less is the same as any other dirt bike. So we have 3 main scheduled maintenance appointments. One is the oil service, that is every 15 hours. The second one is the mid-service, that is the maintenance of the upper part of the engine, so the replacement of the piston, that is planned for 45 hours, at 45 hours. And the third step is the full maintenance of the engine, so the replacement of the connecting rod and so on, that is planned at 90 hours.
Some guys like me are very slow, some other are very fast. The same amount of hour of usage made by 2 different riders in different track conditions create a very different level of stress on the engine and the chassis. Luckily, in the past, in MotoGP and Superbike, we developed technology and some algorithm in order to evaluate the stress on the engine, because you know, in MotoGP you have only 6 engines per year. You need to manage the life of this engine in a very good way.
In this bike we don't have a dashboard. We have thought a way in which the rider can interact and connect with the bike. So we have thought about phone application. And so this is the starting point of the idea to make a dedicated app for this segment called Cross Link App.
During the first year, we will release a special feature on our bikes thanks to a special software embedded in the engine control unit that will be able to adjust the deadline of the mid-service and the full service, so the 2 main most important scheduled maintenance appointment, depending on the riding style of the rider.
You need to change the piston every 45 hours if you ride all the 45 hours like a Cairoli in Lommel, in his best lap time. So, if you are faster than him, the application tell you, hey, you are arrived after 40 hours, 39 hours, you are arrived, you need to change the piston. But considering the level of Tony, probably a lot of people will see a very different value, and this value you can see in our Crosslink app.
The app allows to tweak some engine parameters in order to create some riding modes. The riding modes can be composed by different parameters, has throttle response, engine brake, launch control, and traction control. Then you can have also information about some real-time data of the bike, temperature, pressure, but also the error or warning on in case we have some. And finally, we have also a page in which the riders can have suggestions in how the suspension should be tweaked. So you can put your weight, your expertise again, and also the track, and we suggest you the click for the suspension setup.
Pero la aplicación Crosslink no es la única característica de alta tecnología y única en la electrónica off-road de Ducati.
The Desmo is for sure one of the main characteristics of the engine, because the engine speed of the engine is 11,900 RPM. That is somehow a benchmark in this field. And also the power delivery is super thanks to the Desmo. Then I think that all the other special characteristics are in the electronic system and in the frame, and all the features that we introduced on this bike, like the quick shifter and mainly the traction control, that together with the engine will give a super crazy experience to the rider.
The traction control we have developed, called Ducati Traction Control, is a real new strategy based on inertial measurement and also vehicle information, dynamic measurement information, and also engine data that arrive from the engine control unit that can detect the real spin of the rear wheel. If we compare our Ducati traction control to the other traction available in this segment, we cannot say that the other one are a real traction control strategy, because they just check very fast variation of the engine response, engine TPS, and just act checking this really fast variation. In our case, we really measure and detect the slip and also the jump. And so in our case, we can work really when it is needed. We have tested a lot our control in different tracks and with different riders, pro and amateur, and we have demonstrated objectively that the lap time is lower than without our system.
Y no solo el control de tracción es especial, también lo es el chasis.
This was coming, first of all, coming from trying to give to our colleagues, the engine guys, the possibility to get the maximum performance out of the Desmo engine. So we need to design a bike with straight intake and exhaust ducts, and this was the very first step. And then once that you decide to have the suspension, the head of the suspension bridge below the intake duct, then of course the shock can be placed in the middle of the bike, and this is helping the frame to work exactly the same on the left and on the right side. And this is not so usual on the off-road application, because several times you have the shock absorber that is a bit on the right side of the bike, because on the left you have the intake duct. So in this case, the frame and the structure is not symmetrical. So the loads goes in a different way on the left side or on the right side of the frame. So this was helping us to have a very lean and efficient structure, because if you can make the two sides of the frame to work together, they can be a bit thinner and lighter than if you have only one of them working by itself. The rider is the most important part in the off-road world. You have to do something that gives the best confidence in every single condition to the rider. And this means that you have to work a lot on the frame, on the suspension, and with all the components of the vehicle in order to achieve the best, probably not the best performance in the single condition, but the best confidence in many different conditions. But this is what gives us the idea of a very good mass production off-road bike. is a bike that can be used by everyone in every single condition with a lot of confidence and having fun.
El planteamiento parece ser el correcto y las primeras pruebas y las experiencias en competición están siendo muy bien recibidas.
The first emotional part was when we first tested the prototype bike in December 2023 in Sicily with Tony and Alessandro. It was December 1st, 2023, and for them was obviously the first time on the bike, and for us was also the first time where we would hear comment from two proven top riders. So we were a little bit like, okay, hopefully it's good, and they were both very surprised about the level of the bike. So it was, I would say, the first part which was very, very good, and obviously also winning at the debut when we had basically a very standard bike, also suspension-wise, last year with Alessandro, the first race in Mantova in the Italian Championship, we also won. So it was just like maybe a good sign that the project was going in the right direction. But as we are experienced with racing, we know nothing comes easy, especially when you are new into a world where the other manufacturer and the other teams have been there for many, many years, for decades. So for sure, we knew that we will have some good times and bad times, and this is part of racing.
I get the video from Paolo and Davide Perni. I was here in my office and I was very happy because this video provided us a very boost of enthusiasm and so on. It was for us like a victory, let me say, because it is not normal that the first contact with a new bike from a very professional rider is so good.
I think the bike overall has improved a lot. We're still learning how to use and set up the bike with factory Showa material. Obviously, it's an area where I think we still need to work. Engine-wise, I think we're quite happy. The engine is strong. And we will assess a little bit the situation in the middle of July, where we are in terms of competitiveness for Supercross. It's a very different discipline from motocross. And based on that, we will decide when we go racing.
If you think about those years of development, I think that the day in which for example, Lupino or Meo has tested our control, and they said, okay guys, this is really a revolution, and this is the way we need to follow to differentiate our bike to the others. So I think that this was the message that impressed me a lot and give me the power to go on. Yeah.
La fuerza para seguir adelante está ahí, pero no solo para continuar con el motocross, sino con toda una gama de futuros modelos off-road.
We would like next year, in our plan, we would like to arrive in the market and offer enduro version 450 and also our new baby Motocross 250 that is now under development. We are with Alessandro Lupino, we are racing the Italian Motocross Championship to develop the bike. We have the same method, that is the time. The time is tell you the truth where you are. But in order to achieve the best performance on the 250, obviously the level of speaking about engine, the power make the difference respect the 450. And obviously the target is a bit different, the approach to the design of the engine is a bit different respect to the 450, but for the rest the pillar of the project is still the same. Lightweight, good rideability, good balance of the bike, good feeling in approach of the curve.
For the 450, the main target was the linear torque, progression torque, and so on. For the 250, we have to stress a little bit more the maximum performance.
Frame, swing arm, many components will be the same. The combination of the frame plus engine give to the rider the global feeling. For us, it's more easy to play with the stiffness of the engine and the stiffness of the bracket that connect engine to the frame, instead redesign a specific frame for the 250. Don't make sense redesign any frame.
Y es que esta primera Ducati de enduro también requiere mucha planificación y cuidado.
We're already testing the enduro bike. The plan is actually to have it in production next year, around springtime or early summer next year. The 450, obviously also challenging to get the homologation because it needs to be street legal. But I think we will get there in time. And then racing-wise, we don't have a plan yet for racing the enduro. We will consider when the time comes. Obviously, at the moment, we'd like to try to do few things and try to do them well because the structure is growing, but we cannot really afford to put too many racing programs on the table. We'd rather do each at a time in the proper way and then move to the next one.
Enduro homologation, it is a challenge, yes. We are working on it.
Until that you don't get the homologation, you cannot go to make a race. You cannot go with a prototype bike to make a race.
It was a big challenge, even the new noise regulation with 109 dBs for motocross. Even in this case, we had to work a lot on the exhaust and on the intake. With the homologated bikes, it is even more difficult. It is a matter of combining very high performance, professional performance with homologation. Then, of course, the performances will not be the same as the motocross one. This is sure. But we saw that even for the competitors, we are in line with the best competitors or even slightly better with the homologated version.
The common point between the motocross and the enduro engine is lighter is better. This is the starting point. The engine of the enduro is under development. The external shape will be the same, but inside will be totally different because the target and the usage of the engine is totally different.
We changed a little bit, for example, the cam low profile, the valve lip profile, the compression ratio, and something like that. But the engine still remain more or less the same. Supermoto is very far from the moment, and I think that the modification for the Supermoto will be very small.
The enduro we will have 6 gear instead 5 with different ratio because you need to go very slow in first gear more than motocross. But in the same time, you need also to have a good speed when you have some portion of the track in asphalt. You need to have also good speed. So completely different gearbox. But in the meantime, you need to redesign again the torque curve because the usage of the engine is completely different.
With the enduro bike, you can start with more or less the same setting of motocross. Then you work a lot on the geometry of tripod clamps, for example, and of course suspension, linkage, maybe something like this. In the Supermoto, the geometries are completely different. Rims, tires, everything is different. So for sure there will be something more to change. But we want to start with exactly the same structure, and then we will learn a bit if anything is needed for the single application. The target is to change as less as possible.
The challenge for enduro bike is to create a bike very good for Enduro GP, but very good for the amateur rider, because we will sell to amateur rider, not to Enduro GP rider.
Aficionados o profesionales, Ducati tiene grandes esperanzas y grandes objetivos para toda esta familia de productos. El equipo es optimista, como bien habéis podido ver, pero también intenta mantenerse realistas.
No one is asking us to win the championship the first day. It is a long process and we have to go step by step. It is a matter of doing things at our best, trying to sell mature bike with a good development behind it, and try to give to the clients something that they can enjoy and can have fun, and show them that we can have a very good performance, and then we will go step by step.
We have whatever it takes to get there. It's a question of how long it will take, and also obviously then to be completely transparent and honest, sometimes the level of salaries of top US riders is quite significant. We need to combine the success of sales of this bike with what we can afford in terms of racing. For the moment, we have a 450. Next year, sometimes around this time, we should have a 250 motocross and a 450 enduro. But before there is, let's say, a range of models available at our dealers, it will take some time. So, you know, the steps need to be taken correctly. It's not an easy environment around, you know, the world is not an easier place to live at the moment. The economy is not in the best conditions. Some of our other manufacturers, they have gone through some difficult times, which is not helping anyone. So I would say we need to do, as we say in Italy, the steps as long as our legs, not to make them too long.
For me, motocross bike is too much. I'm not a good rider, so I prefer enduro. And a very perfect bike for me is a 250 Ducati engine for enduro. This is will be my favorite bike, in my opinion.
We are looking every weekend. We are looking about the results of our team, of our riders.
It will be interesting to see the whole model range, to see the overall performance of the whole model range, and it is a matter of see what will be the performance both on the market and on the racetrack as well. So it is a big fascinating adventure in front of us.
Y el tiempo dirá cómo acaba esta aventura para Ducati. Podrán conquistar la tierra, el off-road, dentro y fuera del circuito. Su planteamiento y el segmento que ofrecen son sin duda únicos y aportarán ideas frescas y competencia al mercado, algo que al final nos beneficia a todos, a los usuarios. En fin, esperamos que este repaso en profundidad de los planes off-road de Ducati os haya resultado interesante. Dejadme vuestra opinión en los comentarios de abajo y muchas gracias también a la gente de Ducati que nos dedicó su tiempo, nos abrió sus puertas y la verdad fue todo un placer. Muchas gracias también a vosotros por estar ahí, como siempre. Y bueno, si no estáis suscritos, suscribiros y nos vamos a ver muy pronto. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto.